Welcome, everyone. I hope that you are not so tired today. Today, during my short talk, we will try to demystify trustless bridges in the Polkadot ecosystem. My name is Bigos, and I'm a solution engineer in delivery services at Parity. And how are we going to demystify those bridges? So at first, I will bring some terminology, some key concepts of bridges. Then we will talk about bridging assets as the use case that we'll have. Then we will talk about the first part of bridging assets, that is sending messages to the destination chain via the bridge. Then we will talk how the messages are executed, are proceeded on that destination part. Then we'll have short summary and maybe some time for Q&A session. Terminology first. XCM. XCM is cross-consensus message format, and it is a language and a format that allows communication between different consensus systems. It's generic and common format, which means that it is not Polkadot specific. Another term that needs to be introduced is XCMP, and XCMP stands for cross-chain message passing. So it is a transport layer for XCM messages. Having introduced XCM, let's talk about multi-location. And multi-location is an abstract idea, and that idea is used to identify any single location, any single entity within the world of consensus systems. So it can be a parachain, it can be an account, it can be a smart contract, it can be a pallet deployed within Substrate runtime, it can be anything. Multi-location is defined with attributes like parents and interior, and it is expressed as the relative location to our current location. And we take as an example 2 dots, which means that we need to exit our current location and go to the broader scope. Then within that broader scope, we need to go to the parachain 2 and account 2 within that broader scope. OK, blockchain bridge. But before talking what blockchain bridge is, let's think about a translator. So a translator is a tool that enables communication between two parties speaking totally different languages. And the same we can say about a blockchain bridge. So a blockchain bridge is a tool, is a mechanism that allows communication between two sovereign and diverse consensus systems that mostly use different consensus. Blockchain bridge allows sending assets and other messages between those two sovereign chains. And the question is, why do we need bridges? So for that, we may answer that we want to use some external DApps or other mechanisms. Like, for example, we can have some assets at our chain, but we want to exchange some asset on a different chain, on a different consensus. And for that, we may use the bridge. Another point can be that we want to leverage some benefits of external consensus systems, like, for example, lower transaction costs. Trustless bridge. So what is trustless bridge? So trustless bridge is a specific type of a blockchain bridge in which there is no point of centralization. It means that there is no single entity that runs the bridge, that holds the bridge, that makes the bridge secure. In trustless bridges, we trust in protocol, cryptography, and code. In trustless bridges, the whole security is provided by the protocol, cryptography, and code. In other words, we can say that in trustless bridges, the whole message verification security is done on chain. Having said that, we can say that trustless bridges have the same security level as the underlying blockchain. So as far as underlying blockchains are secure, our trustless bridge is secure. And today, during our talk, we will talk about Kusama to Polkadot bridge as a bridge building by Parity. BridgeHub. BridgeHub is a system parachain, and it is a hub responsible for bridge operations. So BridgeHub handles both messages that we want to export, prepares messages to be exported to a different chains, different consensus systems, but also handles incoming messages that come to our system. So it is responsible for verifying, triggering verification of that messages, and also routing them to the final destination. And I need to say that a BridgeHub can handle multiple bridges at once. So at BridgeHub, we can have Kusama to Polkadot bridge, we can have Ethereum to Polkadot bridge, and any other bridges that comes to your mind. Relayer. So relayer is an entity that watches and relays messages between two sovereign blockchains. We need relayers because blockchains are not able to communicate with each other. And a relayer can be anything. It can be a software, it can be a person, it can be a piece of script, anything. Having said that, we may observe that it is off-chain mechanism, that it is untrusted mechanism, but we don't need to care about it. The whole security is provided by on-chain message verification that I already said. The last but not least term to cover is foreign asset palette. And foreign asset palette is a palette dedicated for the Asset Hub, and it is nothing else but the second instance of the asset palette deployed within the Asset Hub. Foreign asset palette is a palette that is responsible for managing, as the name suggests, foreign assets. So those assets can be bridged assets, but also those assets can be assets that exist within the same consensus, like for example Kusama or Polkadot, but exist on different chains than the Asset Hub. The main difference between foreign asset palette and the asset palette is that we identify asset within foreign asset palette by the multi-location. So all of the wrapped assets that exist within foreign asset palette points to the origin assets that they are representing. The second difference between foreign asset palette and the asset palette in configuration is that wrapped asset within foreign asset palette can be created only by the XCM calls and some on-chain governance. Now let's talk about the bridging asset as a use case that we want to dive into bridges topic. So some time ago, our core bridges team posted a forum post. You can scan the QR code and read some instructions how to play with it. And in that demo, you can find how to transfer on Rococo testnet to Rococo testnet asset from Rococo Asset Hub to Rococo Asset Hub. This asset transfer is done with some demo palette, with some demo extrinsic, and I need to point out that this is only a demo palette. It will not be used in production. The final asset transfer will happen directly via the palette XCM. So what do we need? What are the key infrastructure pieces of the bridge? So we have our sending part, because we want to transfer some assets from Kusama to Polkadot. So our sending part is Kusama, and within Kusama we have Asset Hub and also BridgeHub. We also have the destination part, which is Polkadot, and in Polkadot we need the BridgeHub and also the Asset Hub, the destination Asset Hub. And we need also a mechanism that relays messages between two bridge hubs, and that mechanism is a relayer. So how can we play with that demo? How we can transfer our test asset within that demo? So we need to use some extrinsic from that demo palette, and in that extrinsic, at first, we need to specify which asset are we going to transfer, send over the bridge. And in this case, it is a native currency for the relay chain. As the second part of that extrinsic, we need to specify where we want to transfer those funds. And in that specific example, we say that we want to transfer those funds to some account on the Asset Hub on Rococo. How does it work? So the demo introduced simple extrinsic that is very similar to the reserve-based asset transfer. So what's going on there? So at first, assets from our account are moved to the sovereign account on the Asset Hub, the sovereign account of the destination chain as a reserve. Then some instruction set is sent over the bridge to the destination chain, and we have some wrapped assets issued to the destination account, to the destination chain. OK, so now let's dive deeply into the how messages are exported, how messages are prepared, how messages are sent to the destination chain. OK, so now we are on the source consensus system, which for now is Kusama. And what is going on? So user submits some extrinsic that triggers the asset transfer from Asset Hub. And and behind that extrinsic, we have an instruction to be executed on the Asset Hub that will move our asset to the sovereign account of the destination chain on the Asset Hub. So that extrinsic gets executed on the Asset Hub. And then the rest of the instruction are sent to the BridgeHub with the export message instruction. It's a new XCM instruction enabled by XCM v3, and that instruction tells the BridgeHub to export some set of messages to external consensus system. So BridgeHub executes that message, and our messages are ready to be relayed to the destination chain, to the destination consensus system. But what if we want to send over the bridge any other more general instruction set? And for that, we just need to send to the BridgeHub some instruction, also export message instruction. And in that instruction, we need to set to which chain we want to send those instruction set. And of course, we need to provide that instruction set that we want to be executed on the destination chain. What are the key components of that part? So at first, we need to have properly created XCM instruction. We need to have the BridgeHub. And on that BridgeHub, we have palette bridge messages that is responsible for preparing messages to be exported by the relayer. In that palette bridge messages, we have outbound message queue called lane. And we can think about lane as a communication channel between source parachain and the destination parachain. In that example, it's a communication channel between Asset Hub on Kusama and Asset Hub on Polkadot. So it's kind of, we can say, similar to HRMP channels. Of course, we need to have some relayer listening to the messages on the source BridgeHub, and we need to have opened HRMP channels between the source chain and the source BridgeHub. Now let's talk how the messages gets proceeded on the destination part, on the destination consensus system. So we will talk about the Polkadot part, which is our destination. So what's going on? At first, we have some instruction relayed by the relayer directly to the BridgeHub. On the BridgeHub, we have at first light client verification because we need to check if the message has been finalized on the source chain. And after positive checking, the BridgeHub forwards message to the destination chain, which is the destination Asset Hub at Polkadot. That message gets executed, and it ends up with depositing some wrapped assets on the destination account. What are the key components of that part? What is needed? What is valid in that part? So at first, we have palette bridge message on destination BridgeHub. And in that palette, we also have a queue, inbound message queue, called lane, that handles inbound messages. We need to have light client on a BridgeHub that is able to verify if the messages, incoming messages, have been finalized. So in that case, with the Kusama to Polkadot bridge, on the destination BridgeHub of Polkadot, we need to verify if the message, if the instruction set was finalized within the Kusama BridgeHub, and also we need to check if the Kusama BridgeHub is finalized within the Kusama relay chain. We need to also have XCM properly routed from the destination BridgeHub to the destination chain. And of course, we need to have opened HRMP channels between the BridgeHub and the destination chain. On the destination chain, we also need to have proper XCM configuration because we need to specify what kind of instruction we want to allow to be executed, and who is going to pay for transaction and stuff like that. OK. What are the key takeaways from that presentation? So at first XCMv3 enabled bridge instruction. It brought export message instruction to the whole instruction set. The BridgeHub is a system parachain that is responsible for bridge operation. It is responsible for preparing messages to be sent to the external consensus system. It is responsible for handling incoming messages, verifying them. So security on that bridge with that part is based on light client cross-chain verification. So we use light clients to verify incoming messages from external consensus system. We need to also remember that messages are delivered by relayers. So we need off-chain entities that relays our messages between two sovereign chains. Additional thing to remember is that the Kusama to Polkadot bridge is still under development. We have also some open PR, some discussion ongoing, so it can slightly change in the future. And we need to remember that the asset transfer will not be via the demo palette. It will be directly by the XCM palette. The same we can say about sending some XCM, general XCM instruction over the bridge. For that, we will need to use XCM palette directly. We didn't cover fees and payments in that presentation, but you need to remember that from the user perspective, the whole fees will be paid on the source chain while sending the instruction. So this is it. Thank you for watching. Do you have any questions?
Let's give a round of applause. Thank you so much, Daniel. Who has a question? What questions were you hoping they would ask?
What question? So how I can build my own bridge? What else I can do? So for example, I need to contact at first some on-chain governance to submit some configuration, how to export messages to the proper part. I need to build light client verification on Polkadot side to verify if the messages has been finalized on the source chain, that we want to bridge. I also need to build a relayer that relays not only messages between our chains, but also relays finality proof of messages. It's quite a lot of stuff to be done.
It's exciting, though, right?
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Wonderful. Really fun work to be working on. Thank you so much for your presentation today. We really appreciate it. One more round of applause for Daniel.